innovative content, global audience.
Good morning, viewers. A very warm welcome to you from the world's capital city, London. My name is Princess Cassie, reaching you live from our SRO TV studio here in London. Yes, it's a beautiful Tuesday morning. What are you doing this morning? Work, I guess. Yes, it's work day. And we have a lot of issues, a lot of stories, topical, national trending issues coming in from all the dailies in Nigeria. And some of the stories we'll be deliberating on today includes Slay lawyer, Lagos MBA welcomes a death sentence for Killer Cop, and a lot more other stories. Good morning and you're welcome. I have with me this morning no other Charles Ensah. He is here to review the papers with me. Good morning, sir. How are you doing today? Hello, Charles. Can you hear?
Very well. I'm doing well. How are you? How's London? We're doing fine. Nigeria is great. How's London? Thanks for having me.
Yes, I know that we saw the judgment from the NBA yesterday as regarding the Slay lawyer. How are people reacting to that judgment? Let's start from there first.
There are lots of factors to consider, the defendant and the accused and everything. From the analysis, yeah, I think we should start from the beginning. I know in most civilized crimes, the first thing they do is to run tests to ascertain his mental stability. First off, it shows there was something wrong. Something was not just wrong with him, something was wrong with the whole process. Then the gun, he said the bullet was not his own bullet.
Anyway, just hold that thought. I will bring you on that issue pretty soon. But let's quickly start with the Punch newspaper. Now, these are some of the stories coming in from the Punch newspaper this morning. We have a lot. I'm just going to take a few of them so we can move to other papers, as we have so much paper coming in from Nigeria this morning. And the main headline here says federal government, FG denies a subsidy return, more fuel stations shut. The rider says NNPCL blames pockets of fuel queues on road delays. 25 refinery licenses ID over subsidy, says Carey. All the stories are on page 19 of the Punch newspaper. As well, there's a story here that says state lawyer, Lagos MBA welcomes death sentence for Killer Cop. And that story is on page 4 and 5 of the Punch newspaper. As well, we have a story here that says that domestic airlines demand jet fuel import licenses, Forest. And there's another story here as well that says consigns as commercial sex workers invade Lagos malls, lure men. And another story here as well says for Constoria to fix dilapidated pipelines, and that story is on page 20 of the Punch newspaper. There's a story here as well that says Israel-Hamas conflict. FG wants pilgrims against illegal trips. Lagos suspend airlifting. That story is on page 2 of the Punch newspaper. These are all the stories we have coming from the Punch this morning, Charles. Now, but first, let's go back to what you were saying about the Killer Cop.
Yes, I was saying, in other crimes, first is do they check his mental stability? Is he mentally sound? Was he under the influence of alcohol? Why was he trigger happy? Because the description of the whole scenario, there was nothing to have warranted him pulling the trigger. Was he sent? Was it an attack? So many questions are needed to be asked. And then he said the bullet is not his, and he has never seen the bullet in his life. Do you understand? You have never seen the bullet, and all your team members attest to the fact that they had gunshot, and none of them pulled the trigger. And when they checked your magazine, 2 bullets were missing. And your excuse was that you didn't confirm the number of cartridges that were given to you. A lot of careless statements. You didn't confirm the number of cartridges that was given to you by the armorer, yet there was a gunshot, and then you're saying the bullet is not yours. So who shot? Who shot? You did. Why did you shoot? Was there any death threat? You saw it. There was no death threat. Why did you pull the trigger? I think the judgment was really well deserved. It was well deserved because there was no reason for him to have.
Chairman, do you think this should be a wake-up call for the Nigerian police? Because we've seen over time this kind of thing, it has happened before, where you just see policemen being so excited to pull the trigger for very trivial or for no reasons at all. And then we've seen it over time before. I remember so many years ago, I was in Lagos. This also happens where a cop actually put the trigger, and the student that was in a molway, she was at the back seat, had to die. And over time, we've seen this. So do you think we actually serve as a wake-up call for the overhauling of the whole security, especially the Nigerian police force?
This unprecedented movement was actually led to the NSAS, where they were brutally taking people out of their way and doing whatever they felt. This is a welcome development, but will it really have effects? Because we have a lot of trigger-happy police, not just in Nigeria, in the world, everywhere. There are lots of trigger-happy police. I think they should start off by having a forensic, thorough examination of their brains. They should just check all of them before giving them, and then probably withdraw the guns they are giving them. They are getting too trigger happy. Withdraw the guns and let them hold their baton and tasers. This is the only way to curb this unnecessary shooting of innocent people. They should just withdraw the guns and give them tasers. And then when we know there's a real battle, they get in the SWAT team to go and battle the real battle. Because if they do not take this up, a lot of other policemen will do this and go scot-free. It has been happening. So will they trace back to punish others that have done this? If they use this one as a scapegoat, will they go back to punish others? Or are they deliberate?
Maybe I was actually following the trend, and just maybe people are of the opinion that because she is a lawyer, and that is why we actually saw it.
Exactly. Is it because she's a lawyer?
Her case. That others we've seen, they've been swept under the carpet.
Is it because she's a lawyer? There are other cases, students, market women, poor, rich, that have gone through this same trigger-happy policeman. Is there going to be justice for them?
That is the question everyone is asking.
So this whole thing that is happening is really, it's about time there's a total overhauling of the military force, the police and whichever force there is. The handles gone. Because even the civil defense, they're handling guns. And God forbid, we shouldn't hear any accidental discharge or what have you.
Well, I know a lot of people actually saying it's a very good judgment because this will serve as a lesson and a deterrent to other policemen. And I actually don't. I actually don't know
Yes, I
what
confirm that.
police officer or a forceman will have to do with alcohol during while you are on your duty and all that. So we really hope that this will bring some kind of sanity to the Nigerian police force and every other force across the country. Now, there's a story here as well that says um, concerns as commercial sex workers invade Lagos malls, lure men. What do you make of this?
uh, Men that get lured are men that are not men because you cannot just get lured in a mall by.
Is it that bad that they have to come to the mall? It's somehow.
It's funny. It's funny to me. It's very funny. I've just tried to process the whole thing. I know times are really hard, and everybody's going out of their way to make ends meet. But coming out in broad daylight to start canvassing men in mall to get them to go into your activities and stuff, I think that is really, 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 really over the board.
It is
Probably,
over the board,
it
if you ask
definitely,
me as well.
yeah, it's over the board, and something needs to be done urgently. Something really needs to be done because the young guys are taking to fraud, and the young girls are taking prostitution. Now everybody's going all out. It is really alarming. It is really alarming, and something has to be done. They should try and create some sort of empowerment programs. We have a lot of NGOs around. We have a lot of companies looking for young graduate trainees, looking for interns, looking for this. They should try and take these people up. Let them learn some skills. You learn skill, you survive forever. You don't need somebody to be paying at the end of the month. So I really I condemn the act because there are a lot of things you can do to make ends meet. You don't have to take to prostitution. You're pushing it up in somebody's face, broad daylight. What are you showing off?
It's
I
really
don't know.
sad that it
Like
has
there's no
got
shame again. Moral
that
decadence.
they don't have to hide it and they are coming openly to do this. It's
Coming
quite
openly to show that this is what I do. This is come and patronize me. It's the oldest trade in the world, yes, but come on now. At least we
and
should
then,
have some moral sanity. We've lost it though. This Gen Z, God will help us. I fear for the next generation, Alpha Gen. I fear for them.
really, I do as well because I don't understand what was supposed to be explaining to the little ones, especially when they see things like this in an open spaces where children as well supposed to tell these children. Anyway, just before we move on from Punch newspaper, let's talk about the headline. Federal government denying subsidy return, more fuel stations short. And now there's a story here that says NNPCL blames pockets of fuel queues on road delays. Now,
Bad roads.
there's this back and forth with the subsidy being brought back, and the federal government is saying no, affirms that subsidy is gone, and now we're seeing more fuel stations shutting down on daily basis. Where are we? Where do we go from here, Charles?
They know what they are doing. They're just after frustrating everybody because I see no reason why they should be shutting fuel stations down when you have the autonomy to choose how much you want to sell. Because there's no regulating price that everybody must sell at so and so price. So for them to have also
Well, it's quite. I really feel the pains of Nigeria as we speak because uh, talking about no fuel and then talking about the cost, it's quite expensive, and now people still have to queue to get expensive fuel. I don't understand where we're going from here, but it's quite painful, and it shows lack of commitment coming from the government, if I must say. I don't think that if you know very well that there was no much, I know a lot of people are applauding the remover for a subsidy remover, But we can see that so far there is no proper. I think the government did not actually do a proper,
There was
thing.
never there was never a better time to have removed subsidy. Because I
Okay.
remember when Jonathan wanted to remove subsidy, the same people took to the streets and were saying all sorts and all manner. Then fuel would have amounted to how much? Maybe 65 or 80 naira or thereabout. But now what we are facing is as a result of what we always do to ourselves. We don't learn. We only learn the hard way. The queues we are seeing on the road is not because there is no fuel. It is not because the price is not something we can afford. How much are they selling fuel in London? How much do they sell in UK? Compare that to Nigeria. We're not spending
But of course, you will
expensive.
not compare your minimum wage to our own minimum wage. You would not.
Minimum wage or see, the truth of the matter, not everybody needs to drive cars on the road.
And that
Not
is why
every
here in a developed country, you will see that there are
there is
effects.
rail, there are
Like,
buses, there are different,
don't
yeah,
get also,
so it's not every
yes, like in Lagos, for instance, right? Don't forget
in
also,
Lagos
like,
there's BRT. You don't have to take it. Yeah, there are buses. You don't need to take your car all around. You leave your car halfway, take the bus, come back and make the car.
with the
Why
car,
they are accusing?
some of the issues. Can you just get somewhere and just leave your car? How sure are you? Because we know we have traffic all over the world, even here in London. I see a lot of traffic.
I
We know
mean,
there are easy
we know
ways to
insecurity is a major challenge.
the underground train. They have other routes. So I don't think Nigeria are we even ready when we talk about the transportation system. Isn't working the way it ought to work, Charles? Before we now dive into don't drive your car, you have to make use of the public buses. Are we ready for it?
How
And
much how much have we earned? How much have we earned since how much have we earned since when this subsidy was removed, when the present dispensation took over? Trillions of naira. That is enough to fix the road and rails. But what are they doing with this money? I do not know, and I'm not ready to even ask questions
it's
now.
the
Not because
question.
I don't want to ask, or not because it's not right to me. So it is questions upon questions. Yeah, we know the right thing, but will the owners of these trailers sit back and allow rail track to work? No, because that is where they make their money from, conveying things from one place to another. Will those people fixing road, please, will those people fixing roads around the roads to be good enough? They won't have job to do again. They will never allow those roads to be good. That is where they make their money from. Hence you hear, no, this is local government road, this is state road, this is federal road, and nobody cares. Even if an individual wants to fix the road, they'll say, no, don't touch it. That's government's property. It's supposed to be for the betterment of everyone.
We have a long way to
Things
go, Charles. A very long way.
from down. The foundation.
We move on quickly to
Who's
the
there?
next newspaper we have, and that will be the Guardian newspaper. These are some of the stories we have coming from the Guardian this morning. And the main headline here says the scarcity of diagnostic services cripples cancer care in Southeast states. That story is on page 6 of the Guardian newspaper. As well, we'll have a story here that says anxiety in Benue as Cameroon shades excess water from Lagdo Dam.
Yes,
And that
now.
is on page 29 of the Guardian newspaper. As well, we'll have a story here that says Shai PFN differ as Hamas Israel conflict drags into the third day. And that story is on page 3 of the Guardian newspaper as well. We'll have a story here that says marketers gone seek subsidized FS as FG offers 90 import licenses. And that story is on page 6 of the Guardian newspaper. Now, these are the stories we have coming from the Guardian this morning. And there's a story here as well that says policeman to die by hanging for killing Lagos pregnant. Here. That story is on page 8 of the Guardian newspaper. What do you make of this headline, Charles? We're seeing here that scarcity of diagnostic services cripple cancer care in Southeast states. These are the issues we talk about. So in Nigeria today, as you know, I am of the opinion that our major hospitals, teaching hospitals should have, diagnostic services, because cancer is not such a thing which we should joke with. And then you see a government, for instance, I came over to London, I went to the hospital. You will be shocked that for the past 15 years in Nigeria, they've not been able to see my vein. They've tried in teaching hospitals everywhere. They tell you she has a baby skin, and they even took me to the theater. There was one time I was really ill. They needed to tear and to get the vein. They couldn't get it. And then I got here, and within 2 minutes, they brought a machine and they got it. So these are some of the issues. The question is, and I used to ask, is it that our leaders don't used to come here and see these things and then take this home? What do you make of this, that as serious as cancer, we're having lack of, diagnostic services around the Southeast states?
Medical tourism is something that pays them hugely. I was once working for a federal government parastatal, and I was working with the SA. Medical allowance is about 8 million. That's medical allowance. You travel, you go for treatment, you don't go for treatment. They give you 8 million medical allowance. And then what they do is just to go and enjoy themselves and return. They know these things are there. They know these machines are there. They are not ignorant of the fact that these equipment are there. But if they fix the system, where will they be getting money from? So this thing is just a means to an end, and the masses are suffering. It's a means to an end, and really, really suffering. Let us say, how many of the civil servants can afford to travel out to get themselves treated? And yet, they collect 8 million for allowance, but not doing anything. The medical allowance, 8 million medical allowance. Like I said, if they fix these things, if they bring those proper equipment to Nigeria, they won't be getting those money anymore, because no, you don't have to travel. Why would I give you 8 million? Just go to so and so hospital, everything is okay. So they know what to do, they know the right thing to do. Scarcity of diagnostic services shouldn't be a thing we should be worried about in this 20th century we are in. We've gone beyond this talk already. It's just a deliberate act to frustrate everybody for the gain of some certain people that are enjoying it. What is the budget for health? What's the budget for education? What's the budget? It is quite large. It is enough to sort out all those things, but they won't do it. They would not do it because of their own stomach infrastructure. This is common with Nigeria. They prefer to take the money and travel out and go and do this, do that. Fix your country, no. And the money is there. The money. We have the money. But what we lack are the right leaders to implement these things. Because everybody wants to make their own money.
Now, I tell you a story, Charles. I was traveling to Kogi State from Abuja. I was in a public bus, and we had an accident. That was last year, a very serious accident. And I landed with my head while the vehicle was actually somersaulting. And they were saying in the whole of Kogi there is no CT scan. Are you understanding how serious it is? In the whole of Kogi State, there was no CT scan. That they will have to refer me to Abuja or to Benin, anywhere they have CT scan. we can't get it, and my head then requires a CT scan after the S3. They cannot ascertain what's going on. They still need to carry out like immediately a CT scan. So imagine somebody in that situation, in that kind of condition, that you are not even supposed to take out of the hospital. We have to travel after accident back to Abuja.
This is a big shame to the state.
I had to call one of the lawmakers in that state after the time. I think after like 2 months, I was actually recovering. I had to call him that this is shameful. This is your state. And like, oh, you should have sent me a message. I would have
very shameful.
Take you out. Like, this is shameful, Oga. You can't tell me it's not everybody that have access to you or to the governor. So are you telling me that as big as Kogi State, you don't have a CT scan in the whole of the state, and then you have a teaching hospital, you have a general hospital? What are you people doing in the state? Now that is Nigeria for you. I had to. In fact, it was a story, another story for another day, chat. But we move on to the next storyline here that says anxiety in Benue as Cameroon shades excess water from Lagdo Dam. These are the issues. I remember the other time we had the same issue in Calabar that they said Cameroon actually opened their dam. And the issue is that what is our leader? What are they doing? Because sometimes I feel there is lack of communication. It's rainy season or whatever. So if they want to do something like this, are they not supposed to communicate to Nigeria? Because now the citizens are going to suffer for this once that dam is actually open.
I believe it was communicated to them, but they didn't take it serious. Because there's nothing that would happen in this country that people are not aware. Opening of dam, I am damn sure they were informed that so and so point to so and so day we are going to open our dam. But how adequate was the information disseminated? That is what I do not know. Because I believe since it's going to be affected by the locals, I think, or I know, I hope they disseminated the information using their local dialects to let them know the extent to which the damage could go. I hope they did.
Please, I think our government will have to do something, because yes, we can hear you, so that we don't have issues of more flooding than what we're already seeing in Nigeria. Now we'll move on quickly to the next newspaper.
Princess, who is the government? We are the government. Don't put trash in waterways. Clear waterways. It's a simple thing. Keep your waterways clean. When the water comes, it's same in Lagos. It's the same stress all over the whole Nigeria. Waste disposal is a stress, and it's a lackadaisical attitude caused by the industries themselves. So it is not something we should say government should do this, government should do that. Government will not come and help you trash your bin. Government will not come and help you clean your gutter when you are the one living close to the gutter. You are breeding mosquitoes.
Yes, that is true. That is true, Charles. But water dam, it's opening of water dam is another ball game entirely. This is not just.
It wouldn't have flooded. It wouldn't have flooded the whole community. It will pass. It will remain. It will pass. It will not remain. Highest 2-3 hours, everything is gone because there's a channel for it to flow through. But once the whole channels are blocked, it remains. It's a simple thing. They should keep the environment clean, and the water goes its way. Because even as they're building that community, there was a plan, having in mind that there's a dam, and one day they'll release the dam if it overflows. So they've created those channels. But no, some greedy landlords or landladies will sell land on those waterways, and then people ignorantly will build their houses blocking the water channel.
Everywhere.
Do you understand? This is the result of it.
That is true.
So it is a collective fault. Everybody is at fault here.
That is very correct. And we move on quickly to the next newspaper we have, and that would be the Nigerian Tribune. Now, these are some of the stories coming from the Tribune. FG no longer paying for a subsidy. Paris affirms, and that story is on page 6 of the Nigerian Tribune. There's a story as well that says subsidy payments almost bankrupted NNPC. Nigeria with export fell in 2024. NNPCL, now sole importer of petrol. Private companies can't access forest. All the stories on page 6 of the Nigerian Tribune. As well, we'll have a story here that says Nigerians growing as cost of 12.5 kg cooking gas rises by 30%. And that story is on page 4 of the Nigerian Tribune newspaper. As well, we'll have a story here that says oil prices jump as Israel-Hamas war raises concern over Middle East tensions. That story is on page 6 of the Nigerian Tribune newspaper. As well, there's a story here that says 99,985 Nigerian students left for UK university in 5 years. This is coming from the federal government, and that story is on page 5 of the Nigerian Tribune newspaper. As well, there's a story here that says presidential election report, Wike knocks European Union, and that story is on page 16 of the Nigerian Tribune newspaper. As well, there's a story here that says that Tinubu appoints Duro Toye, 4 others into media advisory team. That story is on page 26 of the Nigerian Tribune newspaper. There's a story here as well that says Senate President's delegation visit Tribune reporter's widow, and that story is on page 6 of the Nigerian Tribune newspaper. These are some of the stories we can take from the Nigerian Tribune this morning. But first of all, I want you to throw your weight on this story here that says 99,985 Nigerian students left for UK university in 5 years. This is coming from the federal government, Charles.
It is the failure is on them because they couldn't fix our educational system, and everybody wants a better life for their words. Good schools is not just the education, but the connection you get afterwards. Because people you meet in good schools are people that will remain in your life forever.
That is true.
If I have the money to sponsor my kid outside the country, where I know Nigeria, I'm not even sure the university, if you enter university, you can graduate in the next 5 years. I'm not sure about that. Strike up, strike down. One unnecessary gang fight or the other gang fight. Yes, it is not safe outside the country, I know, but the educational system is sure. And to God be the glory, Nigerians have been coming at the top of everything. Nigerians are the most educated. Nigerians are topping the league. And then for us to be spending that much to get education, the government needs to sit back and readjust everything they have done and attach more priority to education. Priority to education. University as close as Benin University is topping the charts compared to Nigerian universities in terms of infrastructures, in terms of standards, and then yet we have the smart brains here. We have everything here, and they save millions just to go study abroad. They save millions to study abroad, and they are happy. The current situation is the greatest achievement of a Nigerian is leaving Nigeria. I don't know if that makes any sense to you. It is one of their greatest achievements that they have left like the shores of this country. Whereas people are coming into the country to do a lot of stuff, we are leaving the country for different reasons. The government should really sit back and have a thorough think of what is happening. Because everybody's leaving the country for one reason or the other. Leaders of tomorrow, all the leaders of tomorrow are leaving the country for tomorrow. So when tomorrow comes, I wonder who will now leave the country where all the leaders are gone away. Because
Funny enough, when you come over to the UK, with the way at which you see Nigerians on the streets everywhere, it's and the education system here is quite on the high side. And but what can we do? Like you said, if you have the money, you have to give your child the quality and better education, because you will
mhm,
want to mortgage their future in the name of I am in Nigeria, I should be patriotic to my country. So I
mhm.
understand. And then there's a story here, Charles, that says Nigerians growing as a cost of 12.5 kg cooking gas rises by 30%. I don't know. It's like from one, we're having hike in transportation, foodstuff, gas, petrol. So everywhere is just going haywire. What are we supposed to do, Charles?
To look
Petrol,
for alternative, to look
patient
for alternative.
and the patience with the government.
And we say banking on the government is what has led us to what we are now.
Here we are.
I remember when there was a Abacha stove. You remember Abacha stove?
Mm-hmm.
When things became really tough, when kerosene was very expensive, somebody innovated a Abacha stove, and we survived. So alternative to this thing is just the way out. If fuel wants to be our problem, we should look for alternative. Power is our problem. We should look for alternative. When they understand that we are not banking on them 100%, they will sit up because that is where they are making their money from. What is the reason for increasing gas price? What is the reason? 30%. What is the reason for increasing it? Just to suffer the masses. Just to suffer the masses. Because, I mean, there are different products. PMS, gas, diesel. Yes, they're all different, whatever, whatever. I don't think they affect each other in any way. Say petrol price increase, then should increase gas price. No, now. It's not really adding up. This is where entrepreneurs should think outside the box and create something, and they will make it work. And there they can make a huge money out of it. Because I know the guys that created that Bacha stove I've been using as example, they really made good money out of it. They made good money because so let us say people that are doing industrial cooking now, how much gas would you buy? By the time you check your capital, your costs, and everything, how much would you be left with as your profit? It's not really something we should even have a second thought about. We should just look for an alternative. Seriously, we should look for
You
alternative.
should look for an alternative because, like you said, if we keep hoping on the government, that is what we've been doing all our lives and it's taking us nowhere. So I think people should learn to think outside the box. Just know that as it stands, Nigerians will always say, "Oh, you're on your own." So let's think, focus, do other things outside the government. Whatever happens at the end of the day, we know that we are Nigerians who will always survive. And then we move quickly to the next newspaper we have. That will be the Daily Trust. Now, these are some of the stories coming from the Daily Trust. And the main headline here says cooking gas price hits 1,200 per kg. And the writer says marketers blame supply disruption, says further hike likely. Nigerians may resort to using firewood. Experts FG working with NLNG to ramp up supply of fishes. All these stories are on page 4 of the Daily Trust newspaper. As well, we'll have a story here that says, will Liberians elect another female president today? And that story is on page 18 of the Daily Trust newspaper. As well, there's a story here that says, for scarcity as stations close in Lagos, Kano, others. And that story is on page 20 of the Daily Trust newspaper. As well, there's a story here that says security operatives kill 67 bandits, rescue 20 victims in Bauchi. And a story here, these are all the stories we have coming from uh, the Daily Trust this morning. Tinubu's economic policies going worry. Financial Times ask president to stop announcing plans without implementation idea. These are the stories we have coming from the Daily Trust this morning. And of course, I still have my guest here, Charles. Now, what do you make of this? Now, it's not about the hike in the cooking gas, but marketers are saying likely there might be further hike. An expert is saying Nigerians may resort to using firewood, like what you said. Do you think that would be the best way to go, firewood?
It sounds, you made it sound as if is like a plague. We've been using firewood all our life, so it's not going to be a new thing.
Can you use
It's
firewood in
just,
your house right now?
do you understand? So it is not something
Our
we shouldn't
mothers,
take.
they have a way of adjusting. They have a way of just, improvising.
The
Unlike
person,
this
the people
generation,
with firewood, we made them,
I
Mama, you
don't
don't
think
have
you
to
have
stress
that
yourself.
time and the energy to do that.
So, they are still stronger. Using firewood, they will still break firewood and use it. It's a normal thing. So they shouldn't say it as if they're threatening us that you use firewood. Use firewood, you'll be even better off. You'll be better off using firewood. How much firewood I want?
And
Can't compare it. Yes.
I know that, for instance, you go to work and in the night you come home and the next thing you want to be looking for firewood. That is not somewhere we should even go to chance. Truth, let the truth should be truth. We should
Okay.
not even think of
Let
firewood.
me let me explain something better to you. The firewood business has gone beyond the one you go and be looking for it up and down. They've packaged it. They've packaged it well. All you have to do is just to call and they bring it to your house. That is the level we are in now. You don't have to go to the bush to look for firewood. You just call. The same way they bring your cooking gas.
In your kitchen or in somebody's house or in your house.
We always had a way of cooking our firewood. You burn whatever you want to burn. It's the kitchen you are using. Even if it is somebody's house, there's always a chimney where the smoke goes out. So it's not a rocket science or something we should start bothering. It's just a way to survive. There's an open space in your compound, you cook in your compound, the smoke goes up, and that is the end. If you don't want to use firewood, there's coal. Buy coal. Use charcoal.
I think
Everybody
charcoal.
now.
I think charcoal would be a better option for me and for a lot of other people.
It
That
helps
would
with breathing.
be the way to go. Yes, because that one sometimes you don't have too much of smoke, you don't have too much of dangers to your eyes, you don't have issues that come.
Yeah, I understand.
Yes. And then you can just have a cooking charcoal pot that is quite small, doesn't need to take all the space, but then it heats up very, very well. That is true. And I'm just really praying that every person should, as it stands now, try and get one before it get worse. You know that, and before we know again that the charcoal pot or charcoal is on the rise, just get some and keep just in case. That is my advice. And then we move on quickly to the next newspaper we have. That will be the Vanguard newspaper. Now, these are some of the stories coming from the Vanguard this morning. Recall of ambassadors, Envros stranded as FG food drags on implementation. That story is on page 5 of the Vanguard newspaper. There's a story here that says e-Naira no threat to financial stability. And this is coming from CBN. That story is on page 19 of the Vanguard newspaper. As well, we'll have a story here that says Warri concert. Davido, organizers at war over non-appearance, and that story is on page 7 of the Vanguard newspaper. As well, we'll have a story here that says Japa FGOK's engagement of retired health workers on contract, and that story, contract basis, and that story is on page 8 of the Vanguard newspaper. Petrol subsidy not back, and this is coming from Carrie. That story is on NNPCL CEO. That story is on page 5 of the Vanguard newspaper. There's a story here that says Israel intensifies attack, enforces total blockade of Gaza, and that story is on page 25 of the Vanguard newspaper. These are the stories we have. And okay, there's a last story here that says EU reports inaccurate reflection of 2023 polls. This is coming from Wike, FCT minister. And that story is on page 5 of the Vanguard newspaper. These are all the stories we have coming from the Vanguard. Now, let's talk about Davido. And we saw that there is a little tussle here and here within Davido and Amaju Pinnick over non-appearance and, of course, non-refund of the initial payment that was made to Davido. What do you make of all the stories? And Davido did wrote that if he's to return any money or payment, it would be to the the orphanage or people in need. He did say something like that. Now, what do you make
First
of all?
off, Davido was wrong for the concert. He was wrong, and I believe he should have had a reasonable explanation why he didn't show up. And then
But
keeping
recall
people
that
standing and waiting at the.
he told them before that time that he would not be available.
Oh, he told them before that time. So why were they calling him out? And then when you know you're not going to be available for a show, why don't you refund the money that was owed?
Because
Or why
the
did you
payment
actually
was
do
already made, and they were expecting Davido to return the payment. And don't forget also that a lot of people are insinuating that he said he would not be available, and then he went ahead to keep promoting the show with his picture here and there.
And then he was, that's what I was saying, all shades of wrong. You know you're not going to be available. Then why were you promoting the event? Why did you hold on to the money? Are you holding on to a performance money because of you're doing their promotion? These are just normal things. Are you holding on because you feel you can come up with these questions to ask him when he got money to buy Rolls Royce? Why hasn't he paid this? Why hasn't he? Are you feeling entitled that it's your own share of the money he's giving you? Everybody's having national cake share. So you collect the money because you know you can question what he's been doing and all that. Two wrongs doesn't make any right. Or even if he has been wrong, all what he's been doing and whatnot, you can't just hold on to your own end of the bargain. I know contracts were signed, they gave you money. You told them you were not going to come, and yet you went out of your way to promote the show. I believe there should be some sort of percentage refunding instead of coming to say, so do you want your money? I'll go and give it to the poor. Didn't he see the poor before he gave the video? So why do you want to refund it? Did he say refund my money to the poor? So what is he trying to fund philanthropy for? Give me back the money I gave you. So you want to go and give to the poor. That's why it's a law case on its own. He didn't do well. That he didn't do well, I must say. First off, you know you won't show up. You just don't even try to. It's what you cannot eat. Don't use your teeth to cut it.
And share. That's true.
Yeah. Well, you know you're not eating it. Why you use your teeth? And now you are making it. Two of you are dragging yourselves like kids on the internet. Exposing here the Rolls Royce. Now the whole issues that have been happening, and yet he's your friend. Most of the videos, some videos, I see two of you hanging out together. So you know all this. Why didn't you call him? Why didn't you call him to order? Oh no, put your house in order. Fix this, fix that.
That was my thought exactly. That even if two of you are not on a very clean slate or a book right now, you should have people close to the two of you that can help talk to Davido and, of course, try to resolve this issue instead of coming to the public to disturb our peace, because you have been bullied. Why? Yes. And there's a story here just before we move to the last paper of the day. There's a story here coming from Vanguard that says JAPA FGOK's engagements of retired health workers on contract basis. What do you make of this? Don't forget also that our health workers are actually they are moving without even. I did, last week I on my head show, I called a doctor. Okay, doctor, I know you're busy because I've always used him over and over. So, like, give me one of your doctors. Like, my dear, you won't believe that all my doctors, they've all traveled abroad. People are just going out of the country for greener pastures. Now, these are some of the issues that let's not get to a place where we're going to be stranded in that country in the name of JAPA greener pasture. The health workers, we need them. We need the nurses and the doctors because after God, now them, I beg. And at the end of the day, federal government is saying okay's engagement of retired health workers on contract basis. Now, what do you take of this?
I mean, what can they do? They have to fill in the blanks. They're retired doesn't mean they don't really know what they want, or doesn't mean they don't know how to treat people anymore. They're just retired, you know. If they got see, I don't even know what to say to this. They are the cause of everything that's happening. Everybody's looking for greener pasture because the government is not making things easy for us. The environment is not leveling enough for us to even get growth. Everything is just not working well. Even when you try to see the positivity in everything that's coming, 1,000,000,009 reasons are in front of you why it will not work. So I won't blame the young professionals for traveling out or for taking other better opportunities. Everybody wants to better their life. I will not spend 7 years in Nigerian university to still be earning 35,000 naira.
The 35,000 naira that even governors are now complaining that they can't meet up. That has been the debate for days.
Like not minimum wage 35,000 they cannot do. How much do they spend but how much do they waste for unnecessary show off at night?
And even the security vote they take home on monthly basis, billions of naira. And then you're complaining. And don't forget also that state government, as of last week, they've borrowed over 140 something billion just to pay workers' salary. I don't know what our governors are doing. They are not producing, they are not working, they're only relying on the federal government to bring money allocations, and that is it. And once the money is not there, they go to even local banks now to borrow just to pay salary. So you're not earning, but you borrow to pay. It doesn't make sense to anybody as well.
They're borrowing to borrow they're borrowing to pay what they borrowed. I don't know what kind of web that I don't know what web. I don't know who teaches them all this kind of thing. Even what children in primary school not even think about is what this our lawmakers and legislators are doing. And it's quite sad, but this is the reality we found ourselves. We just have to start thinking outside the box and see how we make our own lives better. It's an individual race now, as it is. Obviously, it's an individual race.
I love it. So, individual race, Nigeria. Yes, we're at that point already. Per head is what we're doing right now. Better your family, your wife, your children, yourself, and that is it. Anyhow you can survive. Just do what you have to do, but do it legally, not illegal stuff. Yes.
All man for himself, God for us all.
Yes. And then we move on quickly to the last newspaper of the day, and that will be the Punch Sport Extra. These are some of the stories we have coming from the Punch. The main headline here says, yes, indeed. Nigerian midfielder leading Leicester City's charge for an instant return to Premier League. And that story is on page 7 of the Punch Sport Extra this morning. As well, we'll have a story here. Mikel to Osimhen joined Chelsea. That story is on page 8 of the Punch Sport Extra. There's a story here that says the Tigers shine in China. That story is on page 2 of the Punch Sport Extra. There's a story here that says Eagles Portugal camp opens today. That story is on page 7 of the Punch Sport Extra. There's a story here that says Rishola Babachide. Why you want to know about the new Falcon? This story is on page 6 of the Punch Sport Extra. There's a story here as well that says the Holyfield have tipped Joshua to beat Fury. That story is on page 2 of the Punch Sport Extra. There's a story here as well that says the City will return stronger. This is coming from Pep, and that story is on page 5 of the Punch Sport Extra. These are all the stories. And there's a story here that says bad roads will destroy NPFL on page 2 of the Punch Sport Extra. Now, there's a story here that says the Holyfield Hive tip Joshua to beat Fury. We also have a story here. Mikel to Osimhen join Chelsea. What's your take on that? You want Osimhen to join Chelsea? Can you hear me, Charles?
Yes, I can hear you.
Hello? Can you hear us? Yes, we have a little bit of network with our guest. Can you hear me now, Charles?
Yes, I can hear you. Please, your question again, please.
I said Mikel is calling on Osimhen to go and join Chelsea. You know, right now, it's one of our best Nigerian players we have. And now, what's your take? Do you think he should that would be the best club for him?
They know themselves better, and then for one player to be advising the other player to take a move, I think it's either for his best or there's envy in between. I'm not really a football fan or fanatic. I don't really know much about the soccer. So I think
I know that he is
whichever decision they choose.
Yes. Anyway, thank you so much. That would be a good place to wrap up the show's viewer this morning on the newspaper review. Thank you so very much, Chas, for being on the show with us today. We appreciate your time. Thanks for coming on the show. And of course, we love your opinions. Thanks you for every comment. We hope to have you again next time on the show, Chas. We've been having a little bit of network issues with him. And thank God we're already done. Network. Okay, that would be a good place to wrap up the show as well this morning from the newspaper reviews. Wake up, Nigeria. I will do this again tomorrow, hopefully, God's willing. Yes, while you are out there, the economy is biting harder on a daily basis. We're seeing the cost of the hike in even cooking gas. Everything, no fuel stations are being shut down. It's from one issue to another. But please, while you are out there, let's keep hope alive. And let's also know that just tomorrow might be better than today. Like our guest did say, life is per head. You need to start thinking about yourself, how to survive this economy. Don't carry too many baggages. You think of how to survive per person. And of course, while you are out there, remember that peace is priceless. So let's always give peace a chance. And don't also forget to follow us on our social media handles. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and X, and of course, YouTube. Hit on the notification bell, subscribe, and invite somebody to the page. We'd love to hear from you. And also, please make sure to, while you're out there, put a smile on somebody's face, because everyone is actually going through a lot. Don't be too harsh on yourself or others. As you're going out today, be positive. There's a Tuesday affirmation that everything is going to be all right. So try and be on water, drive carefully, obey the traffic laws, and always know that tomorrow will be better. I'll see you again on the show. I remain yours truly, Princess Cassie. Bye for now.
SR TV. Innovative content, global audience.